Okay. It's a new day. Woke up alive again. I'm in the main shop, got the whole big slider garage door open up so I get the fresh air in here. You can hear nature out there waking up. And I'm going to get into it today. Quick note. So yesterday, I think I shared what I listened to about the unfortunate souls that were affected and are affected from the huge hurricane in the U.S. And my point of sharing that was not the fact of who was sharing the news or who was in a political position. My main motivation to share that was like, hey, what's going on, man? Apparently, allegedly, you can get loaded credit cards up to $10,000. I heard from another news report, and currently right now, American citizens can apply online for $750 to help them out. That's pretty dark, right? That's pretty dark. And obviously, you can do your own due diligence to look into that instead of, like I said in my post, don't just lash out and shoot the messenger. Do your own due diligence into those facts first and then come back and throw down what you think about that one. It's pretty alarming. There's a lot of alarming stuff going on, right? That's why sometimes it's tough to, a lot of people just want me to stay on theme. I didn't come here for all that shit. I want to hear about Sasquatch. Oh, yeah. Well, I want to share a truth. Big time. So one thing I could touch bases on with that note about the 750. I mean, I haven't seen too much video content. I haven't had time to look, but I haven't seen much being covered on all of these people who have lost everything during the hurricane. All this being dominant on the main news sources is the war in the Middle East, election shit, same old crap, right? Or that P. Diddy dude. I don't even have time for that idiot. I mean, let's face it, okay? He's a sexual monster, a rapist, right? But you know what? Uh-oh, I got a wasp coming in here. Get away from me, little bastard. Well, let's face it, I could probably find some extremely violent, multiple arrested rapists in my town right here in a second. So, is that a big distraction, all of that camera time given to that certain case? I think so. Different topic. Sorry, I'm rambling. But there's not too much being covered on the hurricane victims. I don't believe. Not enough, anyway. Especially from the stuff that is squeaking out of the cracks. Like, huh? Makes you kind of go, what? Did I just hear that? Did I just see that? Did I just read that? Holy shit. Now, on the $750, you can apply for it, apparently, and loaded credit cards. I can tell you this firsthand from a couple on my boat this summer from Vancouver. Very successful, financially successful people. And the woman shared with me that she knows a woman from the Ukraine who's in her 30s, healthy, no kids, nothing physically is preventing her from working or surviving at all. And she was shipped over here from the Ukraine, and she has her rent. She's been put up in a wicked home. Is she in an awesome hotel? Whatever it is, she's got an awesome home. And she has her rent paid for, and she receives $3,500 a month. And she has a side gig making just as much money. And she's laughing. That's fact. That's going on here in Canada. So when I hear about the alleged credit cards being loaded to $10,000. I wasn't aware of the $10,000 mark until yesterday I heard it, but I know there is prepaid debit cards or whatever they are being handed out to these people who came to your country, United States, illegally. That's fact. And it's very wrong, right? I mean, meanwhile, both of our countries here in North America are doling out billions of dollars to leave our countries to go feed war. Do I think that's right? I think that's absolutely wrong. We have a homeless epidemic here in Canada that is absolutely unbelievable. We have hungry citizens, hungry children right in my frickin' backyard. all across the country. Hungry kids. That the money, the food that we deliver through the subscription money here just in this channel. I told you before, if Sarah delivers, I can't go. I'll line it up, I'll make sure it happens, deliver the funds, but she does the deliveries of the food, comes back in tears more times than not, and she's telling me about an 8-year-old Canadian child literally jumping up and down, freaking out while he's looking at a few boxes of food in the doorway. That's not in some deserted, bomb-ridden town in Africa, right? Which has been used to promote giving to UNICEF and all those other organizations that take most of the money. That's right here in North America. So, yeah, I think it's worthy to point out, hey, just in case anybody might be curious or wants to see this, it's looking like, yep, that came straight from the horse's mouth, that American citizens who have lost entire towns are eligible to apply online for $750. I believe this went down in Hawaii as well, didn't it? Meanwhile, who knows who these people are. A lot of them could be crooks, criminals, rapists, drug dealers, terrorists, are getting put up and getting loaded up with prepaid debit cards. I don't give a shit how much the money is. Obviously, it's a lot. There you go. There's my babble, my opening babble. I made that available for you to look into if you're concerned, and you should be. What are you going to do about it? I don't know. I know one thing. Well, I'll bite my lip on my remedy, but it's not politically correct at this time. But the word revolution sure is not a bad word to be speaking out loud right now, is it? Think about it. Now, let's get some emails. Actually, let's get some more screenshots. I have other screenshots. I think, should I do this? Am I organized enough to read these smoothly? I don't know. These are screenshots from the comment section in past videos recently, right? We live in the Berkshire Mountains here in western Massachusetts. No shit, Berkshire Mountains, I would have guessed the UK. My husband and I got chased out of our camp by a very obviously pregnant female who apparently felt we were too close to her territory for her liking. We ran all the way back to our vehicle. She followed behind us, walking at a brisk pace. And we were nearly positive we were being paralleled as well, but only because we heard the sounds. We didn't actually lay eyes on whatever was paralleling us out. These creatures are definitely real. And chances are good that if you're seeing one, it's because they're pissed and want you out of their territory. At least that's our experience. It's also a good practice to keep in mind that if you ever see one, chances are very high that they aren't alone, and there are more in the immediate vicinity. I say this in hopes that people with itchy trigger fingers think twice before harming one of these beings, unless your life is in immediate jeopardy. Never reach for a firearm. I agree. We think that's what got the female we encountered so upset. We were both armed. She knew what the guns were as she kept looking at them. Wow. That's a pretty intense frickin' experience. And good on you for taking note of all that detail. But there you go. It's not a new message, but it's definitely a handy one, right? Here's another screenshot from the comment section on this channel. Excuse me. Wow, 7mm 08. Nice flat shooting round. Great for your better half. Why does one 50-year-old hunter never ever see anything unusual in the woods, and another sees something so frightening he never goes back in the woods? Could be fate. I don't believe in coincidence. I know they can mark you somehow as a friend. I remember that one researcher said, these people have a 45-mile hunting range. That's a pretty bold statement. Do you know what I mean? How could any one human being make a statement telling us what a hunting range of a forest person is? I think it could be larger. My best friend's family has a cottage that has been visited for over 30 years without a problem. Then 3 years ago, there was a behavior change. They started hitting the back of the cabin at night, frightening my friend's son. My friend and I talked about it. could be new leadership in their clan. There could have been a new member of the clan who was still learning the rules of his new clan. For some reason, I felt the need to say something really far out of left field. I told my friend his son should talk to them, either with his mind or verbally, because they understand our language. I also said I wouldn't be surprised if his so experienced mind speak. I also said I wouldn't be surprised if his son experienced mind speak soon. To this day, I don't know why I said that. About a week later, my friend's son was at the cabin alone, and it got struck at night. He went out on the front deck and stated that he wished they would stop hitting the cabin because they were scaring him. And all of a sudden, a reply came clear as day into his mind, and the Sabe said, "We have been watching your family for 30 years. We will never hurt you or your family." The unusual behavior stopped, and all this has been quiet for 3 years. The world works in mysterious ways. The Lord states he controls fate in the Bible in several places. He asks in return that we stay strong in our faith. Sounds like Melinda might need help. Interesting. Very interesting, right? And it's not a new share from people who have expressed that things changed when they said out loud or thought, "Stop it," right? There's another one. Another screenshot of a comment from a previous recent video. Steve, having an encounter myself and seeing them, I walked past a tree. A second broke my view of them. I seen 2 lights like orbs vanish into the woods. I don't think we were meant to understand them. I think they're ancient, and I just think we went separate paths. They turn to nature, us to technology. We need to leave them in peace if you're lucky enough to see them. Then take the experience as what it is. A minute in time you saw a man/woman or a human-like person in the woods/mountains. God bless. Steve, you're a true gent. Love to you and yours. All right, thanks for that, the kind words. You never know. And here's another one. At this point of the game, I want to communicate with these forest people. When I really start thinking about becoming a reality, I start questioning myself. I do not want to be tagged or have them visit me at my home. Watching this channel and listening to the stories of the people, I've answered a lot of my own questions. At this point in the game, I don't know if the other questions I have will be answered without looking one of them in the eye and asking them. Even if I have the chance to do that, they may not answer me, or they might lie to me. But my motto is, if you always do what you've always done, you will always be where you've always been. Read that again. Sorry, I should have deleted that. That was moving on to the screenshots we had from the other day. All right, there we go. I think I'm caught up on the screenshots of the comments. And there we go. Okay, good. Got it. More shared. More heard. Now, I'm going to start reading some emails that have come in, people patiently waiting to be heard. Listen to this. All this knowledge to what end? Hey, Steve. Robbie Martin from Half Moon Bay, BC. Hotspot. You read a couple of my past emails and called it refreshing. Thank you. I'd like to say what you're doing here is a great example of service to others. Your sense of community is infectious. Great job. Keep it up. Nothing without people like you, my man. I'm still here watching, doing my own researching and taking what I will and leaving the rest. My puzzle's pretty full, and I ask myself that question. What do I need? Enough to feel comfortable to be in the real world without being freaked out of what is lurking about. I truly believe they are looking out for you out there. It seems they've been respecting your wishes for the most part. You also have God on your side as a parent from the control rod. Oh, yeah, my front end incident. That gave me chills. It gave me chills too, big time. A couple things I've been thinking about. One is the Dogman topic. Like, wow, these things are actually real. Like, what the F? Yes, too many to deny. Questioning if They are dangerous to humans. Obviously, they are sure equipped for it. But from the hundreds of testimonies, it seems like they enjoy effing with us more than hurting us. A guy that should know has thousands of eyewitness encounters come forward. That's a YouTube channel I'm not familiar with. When asked, he says 7 words. It did not want to hurt me. He said, in 1,000, maybe 4 or 5 has actually resulted in physical assaults. Really? So that's the stats for the dogman / human encounters with each other. Interesting, because a lot of people have stated that they're only here for absolute evil things, and they were designed to kill people in tunnels. I don't know. Anyway, all this knowledge now gathered from all your awesome viewers has made my wheels turn. Okay, so we know these things are hybrids and have been genetically manipulated, as we have. But by who and when? Not to mention why. Well, we would have to assume it would be an advanced civilization thousands of years ago. The sky people have been seen with these beings countless times. They think they may be responsible for our integration as well. No wonder the globalists don't want the alien topic getting mainstream easily. Looking up at UFO and thinking that these things are possibly an alternative energy and propulsion device, possibly free energy, no wonder there's a lid on it. If these people have been engineered and put on this planet as part of the alien invasion we've been hearing about, this agenda has possibly been in place for so long it's troubling. These people are so well adapted for life on this planet with all their abilities and immunity to radiation. Maybe they are just building their numbers and waiting for us to finally engage in nuclear war. It's as imminent as ever before. Then the integration and takeover may be in full swing. They have even told us to be aware of the bad humans, the Greys controlling them, and the entities controlling our government. Who knows how deep this goes? I don't know. It's a horrifying thought. I just wanted to see what you think about it. I respect your ideas. Thanks again for all you do here. So, moving along, Robbie. There you go, Robbie. You've been listening to a handful of people I see, and it seems to be quite the common theme, doesn't it? Exactly what we just mentioned. But one thing about that for me, a lot of people think, it's coming. It's written, it's coming. The beasts are going to be expose themselves to man, and that's going to be enough to create heart failure, right? Do I believe that they are sitting waiting for us to implode? I don't know. It's just a tough one for me, only because of knowing of the past, easily proven past civilizations that have come and gone from here before us. There's so much proof, there's so much evidence of past highly intelligent civilizations perishing from the face of this planet before us, way before us, right? So let's just say these forest people are immune to nuclear radiation. They can outlast anything, they can come or go. Why would they even bother? Right? If they've been here that long, it's possibly they've been here long before us, but the DNA proves not. I don't know, it's very, very, very confusing, right? And another thing, it just more backs up what I believe is if we are taught the truth about these people, then every single thing we have been raised to believe unravels. But why would they? I mean, if they felt like it, from what we know from all the people here, 1 or 2 could annihilate a whole town overnight. Easy. 1 or 2, right? If they were motivated too. But for the most part, they just leave us alone for the most part. But they still are right side by side beside us a lot when they don't have to be. That's confusing for me. It's all confusing, right? Do I think they're just sitting there waiting for the green light to annihilate us? No, I don't. I don't think so. That's just me. A lot of people are going to say I'm wrong. I don't care, whatever. We're still going to have coffees with each other here this morning, but no, I don't believe that's the case myself. Do I believe our DNA has been intentionally manipulated? Yes, I do. For me, that's an easy one to accept. Who did it? There's a few different answers and theories floating around, but how do we confirm which one's fact? How do we do that? Until somebody jumps up and proves it. Mainstream, I guess. I don't know. Keep the wheels turning. Sorry, I could discuss your questions in these emails a lot longer, more in depth, but then my brain keeps drawing me back to get more voices heard, so I won't make sense because I need to keep going. What do we got here? Don't know. Gonna read it. It's titled Dogs. My opinion why dogs shit themselves. A dog will always submit to aggression. They must sense an extremely high level of aggression to submit. And then it's broken up, sorry. The way they do. 3 days ago, my Chinese neighbor's wife seen a black bear in a new residential build on 2 feet. She thought it was a dog at first and assumed a baby black bear, but it walked on 2 feet. I didn't waste time sharing any knowledge. I felt it's better this way. It's not meant for everyone. I now stopped leaving my dog outside overnight. I had an experience here in my home with mind speak. As I was falling asleep in my bed, I heard my doorbell ring in my head at least twice, maybe 3 times. One night I awoke 3 a.m. to what sounded like nails running along my bedroom window. I now keep the window closed. Who let these effing things out? It never was like this. Paul from Canada. You read a few of mine before. Steve, I'll leave you with this last one. Listening to your channel this week, I've heard over 50% of your letters thanking you for all you've done. Do not take this lightly, as I have told you once before, you are saving innocent people's lives. You hold that torch till you can no longer hold it. The work you do in this life, I don't think you yet understand the weight of your deeds. This won't be my last email, since I don't see these things, these creatures, are going to stop anytime soon effing with me. I caught them once on my ring door cam. It was 4 a.m., blizzard outside, and the ring door cam caught 3 or 4 silhouettes carved out within the blizzard snow. I have a question for you, Steve, or your audience. Why the F is it always 3 or 4 a.m. when we're all sleeping? I don't know. Good question. I haven't a clue. A lot happens at nighttime, especially between, 1 and 3 in the morning? But a lot happens in broad daylight, too. I don't know. Somebody would have to go through all of the emails, dissect them, and then do like our past friend did. That kind lady went in and dissected a whole bunch of emails and have to say how many are in daylight, how many are in the evening, how many in the morning, how many in the middle of the night, how many in the dark, how many in daylight, right? That's interesting. It'd be interesting to know the actual ratio. The dog thing. That's a big one for me because the dogs are in tune with so much. I mean, a dog can locate cancer on a human body. A dog can locate a dead body beneath the water on the bottom of a river from a boat. A dog can do a lot. A dog can sense a bad person. A dog can sense a sick person. A dog can sense a scared person. Dog's got it going on. So, for me and my puzzle, I really, really, really would almost do anything for a dog to speak clear English to me just for 10 minutes, one day, and tell me exactly what it is they sense and know about these forest people. I think one of the earliest times I became very curious about why dogs react the way they do was when I was living in Pemberton, and there was a family down valley near Mount Currie, past Mount Currie, just shy of the head of Lillooet Lake. And they had one of these people, very large, man-like forest person, in the evening, summertime, went walking straight across the front yard of this house in front of 3 adults. And the 2 or 3 outdoor dogs who had never been in the house before were fighting with each other, trying to get over top of each other to get inside of the house, right? And that's just one, but that's one for me that was directly from the mouth. There's been hundreds of examples of dogs absolutely going, Now, why is that? I want to know why. That, for me, for my puzzle, that's a very big, revealing answer. If I could get that answer. And that's why I keep hammering on the small amount of people here who claim to allegedly be in absolute communication with these people smoothly. And I've asked this question how many times now? Oh man, just somebody tell me why are dogs so terrified of them? I'm not getting a straight answer. Not yet. Right? Not yet. Now, Half Moon Bay. A lot has gone on there in the past. Holy shit. Seashell, Half Moon Bay, Gibsons. A lot. Gambier Island. A friend of mine photographed a fresh footprint in the snow on Gambier Island. Now, who's next? What do we got? Don't know what we got, but holy, looks like a long one. Okay, this is all excerpts somebody sent me from someone's book, so I'll have to review that another time. Yet. I was going to go down the river today, but it was pouring rain when I first woke up. We got to go see what's going on down the river, right? I haven't been down there for a while. What do we got? Sabe shook me out of bed. Hi, Steve. Thanks for all you do for this community. I've been with you from the beginning of this topic and wanted to share my encounter from Washington State. I prefer you not use my name for employment reasons. My experience, which took me years to piece together as to what had happened to me that night, took place in August of 1978 when I was 11 years old. My family, along with 3 other families together, had a 25-year lease from, I believe, the U.S. Forest Service on a piece of property in the Okanagan Highlands of north central Washington State. The men of the families pitched into to develop the area into a decent camping spot for recreational camper use. Summer partying and fall hunting camp. It was about 5 acres in total with a nice trout stream on one side for a border and a steep forested hillside beyond that rising another 2,000 feet in elevation. A Forest Service road formed the other border on this roughly rectangular piece of land. There was a giant fire pit in the middle where the adults would gather at night to drink and sing along to country music playing loudly from someone's pickup 8-track player. I remember those. Trailer sites were spread out in a semicircle at the edges of the property for adequate space and privacy. The camp area had lots of large ponderosa pine left to create shade for everyone during the hot summers there, and there was only shrubby, dense underbrush left at the campsite areas and close to the creek. We towed our camper trailer over from western Washington, where we are from, 2 or 3 times a year during the summers. I always looked forward to going there, and I was obsessed with fishing for rainbow trout from the time I was 5 years old. The other kids would ride their bikes around the place or travel out with their dads to go cut firewood or some other activity, but I would spend countless hours on the creek with my fishing pole trying to hook into my next rainbow. My parents were amazed at the patience and attention span I had, and one time my dad asked me, "I saw you fishing the same hole for 2 hours. Why were you in one spot for so long?" I told him that I had hooked an 8-inch rainbow, a real monster for that creek, that had gotten off the hook, but that I was sure he was still in the pool behind the large boulder in the creek, and that I was determined to get him and take my bait again. The time just flew by, and yes, I eventually got that fish. Yay. Right on. On the 3rd day of our week-long camping vacation, I'd been fishing downstream, quite a ways away, and was having good luck and enjoying a hot August day wading the cool mountain stream. This was after lunch, and my belly was full, and I was prepared to fish until dinner time. And suddenly, I had a strange feeling of fear come over me, and my eyes kept going to the far side of the creek about 30 feet away to a patch of dark brush. This was the first time in my life that I had this feeling in the outdoors, particularly during the light of day. The only thing I was ever afraid of at camp was rattlesnakes, and I learned early to always keep a lookout for them, especially near the water. I tried to talk myself out of what I assumed was some irrational fear, but could not shake the feeling of being watched. And it was a creepy feeling that would not leave me. I never saw a thing there, and there was no movement or sound coming from the thicket, but I ended up almost running back to camp. I didn't want to go back to the stream for the rest of the afternoon. That night, after campfire time, we all went back to our fifth-wheel trailer and were relaxing. Mom, Dad, my two younger brothers, and I kicking back before actual lights-out bedtime, and I was in an upper bunk with my younger brother, Jack, in the bed below. We were all doing our own thing, like playing cards and reading. And I was relaxing and reading a comic book when all of a sudden I heard a voice in my head say, clear as day, "Look out the window." It seemed like my own voice I was hearing, but how strange was that? There was a rectangular-shaped window next to me, up high, for the person in that bed to look out from. The window had a two-part curtain over it. The curtain had been closed already from both sides, but there was a crack in the middle, about 2 inches wide. I just knew that this was the window the voice wanted me to look out from. Did I read this? What's going on with my brain? I only heard the voice in my head one time. I started getting that scared feeling inside again, just like earlier at the creek. I probably waited 10 minutes before sitting up in my bed and having a closer look at the crack in the curtains. The fear was still there, but not as bad, and I decided that I would not open the curtain, but just get my head near the crack and see if there was anything to see out there. The night was pitch black, of course, and at first I saw nothing, and everything seemed normal. But after a moment or two of looking, I thought I saw some movement. I came to realize that I was looking at black fur, slowly moving side to side, back and forth just inches away from the window. I couldn't believe my eyes, and within seconds I saw a patch of blackish gray skin appear and a huge, dark eyeball looking in at me. The eye was huge and mostly black with a narrow ring of yellowish white around the edges. It never looked red and certainly never glowed red. I immediately shut the curtains the rest of the way and jumped off my bunk. I knew what I saw was no bear, even at that age. I yelled, "There's a monster outside my window looking in at me." I'd never heard of Bigfoot. I had not seen the Patterson film, and my parents certainly didn't believe in Bigfoot either. My parents could see that I was frightened, but of course I thought I was imagining things. My mom went to open the curtain, and I yelled at her to not do it. I was afraid for her. She did it anyway and looked out. She said she couldn't see anything, and that the boogeyman had gone away. My brothers teased me after that too, and I didn't believe a word of what I said. My mom closed the curtain back up all the way and told me to climb back up. I did not want back up there, but I was made to get in my sleeping bag on the bunk. I took forever to fall asleep that night. Eventually, I must have fallen asleep. Everyone was sleeping, and it was about 3 a.m. when the earthquake hit. That's what I thought it was, because the first thing I remember was shaking violently back and forth in my bunk and then falling out of bed, still in my sleeping bag. Brother Jack had broken my fall as I landed on top of him, and I yelled out, "Earthquake!" The next thing I remember was my angry father saying, "There's no earthquake," and walking past me on the floor, dressed only in his white cotton briefs, and turning on the inside lights of the trailer, grabbing a flashlight and running outside to investigate. Oh, so I guess he knew and felt that too. He was outside for 5 minutes in his underwear and the flashlight, looking all around, and came back in without seeing anything or anybody. He was cursing and blaming our friends, the other campers, for playing a dirty trick on us. I think he questioned and blamed everyone the next morning in camp. They all denied knowing anything of what happened to us that night. There were probably 10 good, back and forth, violent shakes in all, and certainly knocked the trailer off its level. We cut our vacation time short, and Dad angrily hauled us back home, firmly believing the other campers had shaken our trailer. Looking back now, I don't think 5 guys could shake a trailer that size in that way. Sabe ended up driving a wedge between friends, and we never went back to camp there with those families. Dad is 90 years old now and suffers from dementia and has no memory left of this event. I think I was over 40 years old before I finally connected the dots what went on that night. And hopefully this will be helpful to provide a puzzle piece for someone in the community out there. Best wishes, Steve, to you, Sarah, and Ruby, and the Adventure Dog. All right, gotcha, man. I didn't read this before. I must have read the middle of it to confirm it was an encounter to save in my notes. That's what I do sometimes. Wow. I have a feeling your dad figured out that what you saw the night previous was fact, right? I mean, who would absolutely if it was a prank, if it was a human prank, how many people would end friendships and pack up the whole family and leave and not come back just after a human minor prank? Picture it, not too many, right? But that shoots my memory right back to the, excuse me, I think it was 4 or 5 hunters in Alberta, and they were all in a camper trailer, same deal, and they said the back of the trailer was picked up and shook back and forth like they were in a box of frickin' Cracker Jacks and put back down the ground. I remember that vividly because I remember it was one of the first times I ever heard of that happening, and it freaked me out. And I think it was that group or another group in the same Nordegg. I've mentioned this a bunch of times. Came back to camp, and as they're coming in view of camp, saw this 10-foot tall, hairy, man-leg, muscle-bound thing pulling a full-grown 6-point bull elk off of their meat pole, cocked the muzzle over his shoulder with one hand, and booked and ran with it like nothing. Like it was a gym bag over his shoulder. And they went to the RCMP station and reported it, losing their shit. But anyway, there you go. I'm glad you got some kind of closure, at least, listening to all the people here, right? Now, one more. Oh, hold on a minute. Okay, here we go. Bigfoot encounter from September 2020. Hello, I am Harley Owens. I'm looking to share my story. This is going to be a pretty big summary, but there's a lot of information and evidence from tracks, the creature, and multiple vocalizations that I would love to share with you. All right, we're here. Let her rip. I'm from East Tennessee, but when my encounter happened, I was working up in and around Clintwood, Virginia. For 2 weeks, the encounter happened in a town called Pound, at an old sawmill out in the woods. And how it all started, I've been hearing strange noises like whistling and twigs breaking. Along with that, I had a strange feeling of being watched. Now, I have seen some weird things in my life without explaining what they were, but what happened that day, 3 years ago, I cannot explain it. Every time I go to talk about this, I go in my mind about this, and I just start worrying and thinking about my encounter again, and I can't sleep at nights, hardly, and have nightmares about my encounter. That sucks. I seen something that made me believe that there are creatures in this world that do not want to be found until they show themselves to you. Before I had ever seen the creature, I found a trackway, and I have video of that trackway with tracks dwarfing my size 12 boot. This happened at 1:44 p.m. on September 22nd, 2020, and lasted not even 5 minutes, but the howls and other noises happened in the evening hours after my sighting and throughout the time I was out there working. And let me tell you, it felt like the time I seen the creature, it happened an eternity. A little bit of punctuation missing, but I'll try and make it smooth. We got it. I went to my service truck to get a Coca-Cola out of my cooler, and I heard something make a loud growling sound, and it sounded off in the woods, so I looked around the woods, nothing, and then I heard it again. And up on this cliff, peeking out of the brush, is this large black thing. When I'd look, it would hide again. Luckily, I got one picture. I will say that I know it wasn't a bear. After my first initial thought it was a bear, but I realized it wasn't, because bears didn't move like that thing did. It was larger than any bear, and it was on 2 feet. I don't know how to explain it because it's just out of place. But then it started peeking around the brush. That's when I got out my phone and snapped the picture. But when I tried to start videoing, my phone died. And I had around 70% battery. Then my phone came back on about 5 minutes after it disappeared because I kept up with the time in the pickup, and my phone still had that percent battery left. I had my doubts believing they existed and had heard stories about Bigfoot, but never had a close-up encounter. But that day it happened. I will say, looking at the pictures, it's black. You can see the sun shining through the hair. The vocalizations are unlike anything I've ever heard. I was really skeptic to share my story, but I don't want to hide my story because it just builds up and haunts me. But all it takes is one person to make others share their encounter. They need to be told. I feel the public needs to know these things are out there, but the government doesn't want people to know. My guess was that the creature, I'm 6'6", 160 pounds. The creature I saw was easily over 7 feet, if not bigger, and over 600 to 700 pounds. I will say there is really no definitive toes in the tracks, but they are massive tracks. I'll gladly answer any questions, and I also have the audio of the howls I recorded, but like I said, my phone was still messed up, and I couldn't use video or camera on my phone when the creature was there. And whenever the creature was around, it was weird that this thing has the capability to mess with technology. There's a statement people need to start screaming out, right? Oh no, the horse just kicked in the fence and is in Sarah's garden. Oh my God. Bastard. Where was I? Sorry. They have the ability to mess with technology. Absolutely, I agree with that one. How does a monkey do that? How do they do that, right? How come not too many people talk about that openly? I don't get that part, especially the so-called researchers. Well, you just don't want to acknowledge that because we probably have thousands of eyewitnesses that share the same fact. They mess with technology. Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do. Look away all you want, put your head in the sand. Ain't gonna change it just because you can't handle it. What has the ability to mess with technology without being online? Not us, right? Not us that we know of. Anyway, I gotta go. I got a slight emergency. I gotta go get a horse out of that garden. Damn it. And I gotta fix more shit to do, right? I gotta fix all that frickin' fence. It's endless. It's just as soon as you start being able to go hit something that needs to be done that hasn't been done yet, you gotta go back and redo something. Because I have to go tear down about 300 feet of 3-strand barbed wire, remove that from a bunch of fence posts. I got to pull all those fence posts out of the ground. I got an excavator showing up here later today afternoon on a low bed. My friend's going to come and wipe my property out. Now I got a second horse about to go in there. I got to go. Damn it. Link below for Sarah's store. Link below to share your emails, your experiences word for word. And before I forget, to the man that just emailed us in, got the photograph and the video of the trackways. It won't change much for my puzzle, but I'll guarantee you there's probably tens of thousands of people that were probably screaming at the screen, "Where is it? Share it with us." Right? So if you want to, share that with the audience here. Just send it to me again in an email, and I'll share it. Or not. At least you shared your experience, man. I appreciate that. Help people where you can, you guys. Right now, a lot of people need help here in North America, in the southern U.S. where the hurricanes hit. Help them if you can, all right? It's so frustrating it's frustrating for me. I'll figure something out. But if you can, if you're in a position to help, help. If you know of true dark evil shit going on and need it exposed, send it to me. I'll help you expose them, all right? I gotta go, little bastards.